This notebook's going to walk through how to make a Vega-Lite visualization from a Tableau Pulse REST API call. I don't know if it's Veja or Vega. This could be like a GIF versus GIF thing. So in order to generate the necessary data to create our Vega-Lite visualization, we'll need to do a few things first. We'll begin by authenticating into the Tableau REST API using connected apps. Then we'll make a REST API call to grab a Pulse metric that the given user is subscribed to. Then we'll grab the definition for that metric. And then lastly, we'll generate the insight bundle, the Springboard insight bundle, which will contain the Vega-Lite specification in order to visualize our metric over time. So in order to run this notebook, you'll need to upload a JSON configuration file named config.json that will include your connected app client ID, secret key, secret ID, user email, server address, so for my case, us-east-1.online.tableau.com, the API version, which will be 3.22 for me, and the name of your Tableau Cloud site. If you don't want to upload a JSON file, you can just modify the code and hard code it with your values. And you can also download this Google Colab notebook as a Jupyter notebook so that you can run it in your own environment. Okay, so in order to get started, we'll import our packages and define our variables. And because I will be drawing my variables from the config_data JSON, I'm going to go ahead and upload that to my Google Colab files. Just dragging it in. And now you can see config.json is in my files. So if I close this out, we can read that in here and run this first cell. Now that we have those variables set up, our first real step is to create our JWT token, which we will then use to authenticate into the REST API and retrieve relevant IDs. Okay, so that ran. I do want to call out that when we do our API call to sign in or authenticate to the REST API, it's going to give us our response in XML. So we're using a package to parse out that XML data and grab our credentials token, our site ID, our content URL, and our user ID. With us being authenticated into the API, we will now run our first Tableau Pulse API call, which is to return the first subscription that the given user is subscribed to. You can see how I'm grabbing the 0 element, so that's me grabbing the first subscription. Now that we have that, we can use this metric ID to now return the metric definition ID. And now that we have our metric definition ID, let's return the actual metric definition. Okay, so this metric definition is a pretty large JSON object. And up to now, we've been able to just get the response from a call and use that response as the input for a request. And that's been really convenient. For our last step, which is to actually generate the insight bundle, we need to parse or massage this definition response pretty intensely in order to get it in the right format. So all of this code block is really just parsing out elements from that definition that we just grabbed and putting it into the right format. So the right format is defined by this dictionary that we create at the end here called input_dict_springboard. We will now take that input and we'll pass it into our last function, which is to generate the springboard. We're printing out our status code 201, which is what we want to see, and then our response body, which is that bundle, that springboard bundle response. So within this long response, as you can see, the scroll bar is quite long here. within this response, there is a nested item called the viz element, and we will parse that out. Now, once that's parsed out, we can go ahead and copy and paste this by selecting the copy value to clipboard. And we can go over to our online Vega editor and just replace this with that and press run. And there you go. We have our interactive Vega or Vega-Lite visualization right here on the right. Before wrapping, I do want to call out that we can also, now that we have that input dictionary that we parsed out, we can use that to also make calls to get our metric detail bundle and our so pulse / insights / detail, as well as pulse / insights / ban. And both of these API calls will return similar bundles. However, in my instance, those bundles did not have a viz object, or they had the viz object field, but the value for that field was empty. But I want to call out that those are available too once you've kind of done the hard work of parsing out that input. All right, thanks. Hope this was helpful.